Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I am pleased to welcome you to this presentation. Today, we will be discussing a comprehensive approach to batch reconciliation in liquid dosage forms. My name is Dr. S.K. Singh, and I hold a Ph.D. in this field. Throughout this session, we'll explore methods to improve accuracy and efficiency in batch reconciliation processes. I look forward to sharing insights and best practices with you. Let's get started. Welcome to our discussion on batch reconciliation. This process is essentially about ensuring material accountability throughout manufacturing. It helps us make sure there are no mix-ups, losses, or contamination of materials, which is crucial for maintaining product integrity. Traceability is a key aspect here. It means we can track all materials used at every stage, providing transparency and confidence in our process. This step is especially critical because it directly impacts product quality and ensures we meet regulatory requirements. At its core, reconciliation involves comparing the input quantities, what we start with, to the output quantities, what we end up with, to verify everything aligns properly. By doing this consistently, we can identify discrepancies early and maintain the integrity of our manufacturing process. Now, let's take a closer look at the different types of reconciliation we need to perform. First, we have raw material reconciliation, which involves checking the raw ingredients before they go into any manufacturing process. This ensures everything is accounted for right from the start. Next is bulk yield reconciliation, where we verify the yield after the bulk solution has been prepared. This helps us confirm that we're getting the expected amount of product from the raw materials. Then, we move on to filling reconciliation, which involves checking the amount filled into each container to ensure accuracy. Finally, packaging reconciliation covers labels and bottles, making sure everything matches the product specifications. It's important to note that these reconciliation steps must be performed at each stage of production, especially in liquid dosage forms. This includes oral syrups, suspensions, oral drops, and solutions. The stages we focus on are raw materials, bulk solution, filling, and packaging. By thoroughly reconciling at each of these points, we maintain quality, accuracy, and consistency throughout the entire manufacturing process. This systematic approach helps us ensure the final product meets all quality standards and regulatory requirements. Let's talk about the material balance concept. The core principle here is quite straightforward. The material issued must equal the sum of what is used, rejected, sampled, lost, and returned. In other words, everything that goes into the process should be accounted for accurately. And it's really important to emphasize that every quantity involved must be an actual count, not an estimate. This ensures we maintain precision and reliability in our calculations. Now, moving on to yield calculations. The key formula to remember is yield percentage equals the actual yield divided by the theoretical yield, all multiplied by 100. The theoretical yield is derived from the formulation itself, basically what we expect to produce based on our recipe or process design. The actual yield, on the other hand, is what we measure after the process is complete. Yield calculations are incredibly useful because they help us monitor the efficiency of our process. If the yield is close to 100%, it indicates our process is very efficient. If it's lower, it signals there may be losses or issues we need to investigate. Overall, understanding and applying these principles ensures we keep our production on track and improve wherever possible. In this slide, we're looking at the filling stage, which is a crucial part of our production process. We start with an input bulk of 970 liters, and since our bottle size is 100 milliliters, we can determine the expected number of bottles. So, converting 970 liters to milliliters, we have 970,000 ml. Dividing that by 100 ml per bottle gives us an expected 9,700 bottles. That's our theoretical target based on the input volume. However, in reality, we've actually filled 9,600 bottles. Along with that, there are 50 rejects, bottles that didn't meet quality standards, and 20 samples taken for testing purposes. We also have a balance loss of 30 bottles, which accounts for any minor discrepancies during filling. Adding up all these numbers, filled bottles, rejects, samples, and balance loss, we get back to the total of 9,700 bottles, confirming that our process is consistent and accounted for. The key here is understanding how the actual output compares to the expected. Slight losses or rejects are normal, but it's important to keep them within validated limits to ensure quality and efficiency in our process. Now let's take a closer look at acceptable limits. Typically for bulk loss, we expect around 2 to 5%. For filling loss, it's generally between 1 and 2%. And when it comes to packaging variance, we aim for tight limits to ensure consistency. These limits are not arbitrary. They are based on historical data and thorough validation processes, which help us maintain quality and control. Moving on to packaging reconciliation, this is a critical step. For example, if we issue 10,000 labels, we need to track how many are used, rejected, or returned. In this case, 9,700 labels were used, 100 were rejected, and 200 were returned. Adding these up, 9,700 plus 100 plus 200, we get exactly 10,000, which matches the issued amount. Any mismatch in these figures, of course, signals that an investigation is needed to identify and address the issue promptly. This process helps us maintain accountability and ensures that our packaging processes remain accurate and reliable. And as we see in these examples, consistent reconciliation and understanding of these key metrics are essential for maintaining quality standards across our operations. Now let's talk about deviations and investigation. When we encounter certain triggers, such as yield falling outside the acceptable limits, missing quantities, or an excess gain, it indicates that something might be off in the process. These are critical warning signs that we need to look into further. The key actions we take in response include recounting, which means verifying the data or measurements to ensure accuracy. We also generate a deviation report to document what happened, and conduct a root cause analysis to identify the underlying reason for the deviation. It's important to remember that these steps are mandatory before releasing a batch. Ensuring that we thoroughly investigate any deviations helps us maintain quality, compliance, and ultimately, the integrity of our products. This process is fundamental to our overall quality management system. Now let's take a look at the key documentation requirements we need to keep in mind. First, we have the Batch Manufacturing Record, or BMR. This document captures all the critical manufacturing steps and ensures everything is properly recorded. Then, there's the Batch Packaging Record, or BPR, which details the packaging process, ensuring traceability and compliance. Next, we have reconciliation sheets. These are essential for verifying that all materials and components are accurately accounted for throughout the process. And finally, deviation reports are crucial for documenting any unexpected events or deviations from the standard procedures, so we can analyze and address them effectively. All of these documents must adhere to the ALCOA Plus principles, meaning data must be attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, accurate, and complete. This is fundamental for data integrity. Importantly, all these records need to be created in real time. That means capturing data as activities happen, not afterward, which helps maintain accuracy and accountability. By following these documentation practices, we not only ensure compliance, but also support the integrity and reliability of our manufacturing process. Let's talk about some of the challenges we face with liquid dosage. One of the main issues is volume measurement variability. Even small inconsistencies here can impact the accuracy of our doses. Then, we have transfer losses, which occur in pipes and tanks. Some liquid always sticks or evaporates during transfer, leading to discrepancies. Sampling losses are another concern. When we take samples, we might not get a fully representative portion, which can skew our results. And of course, evaporation can cause reduction in liquid volume over time, especially if not properly controlled. To address these challenges, we use calibrated equipment to ensure our measurements are as precise as possible. Closed systems are also crucial. They minimize exposure to the environment, reducing evaporation and contamination risks. Lastly, following strict standard operating procedures, or SOPs, for handling and transferring liquids helps maintain consistency and accuracy throughout the process. By implementing these mitigation strategies, we can significantly improve the reliability of our liquid dosages and ensure the highest quality in our operations. Let's wrap up with the key takeaway. Reconciliation is absolutely critical for GMP control. When we talk about reconciliation, we're referring to the process of ensuring that all materials and products are accurately accounted for throughout production. This step is essential because it directly supports material accountability, meaning we can trace every ingredient and component. It also guarantees product safety, as any discrepancies can be identified and corrected early. Moreover, reconciliation helps us stay compliant with regulatory requirements, which is vital in our industry. To achieve this effectively, having strong standard operating procedures and precise calculations is essential. When these are in place and followed diligently, they foster a culture of zero discrepancies, where issues are caught early and corrected before they escalate. In essence, reconciliation ties everything together: material control, safety, compliance. And when executed well, it keeps our processes transparent, reliable, and in line with GMP standards. For further support, please feel free to contact us. We're here to help with any questions or additional information you might need. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you for your time and attention today. Your engagement is truly appreciated, and I hope you found this presentation valuable. Remember, we're always available to assist you as you move forward. Thank you once again.